Hello and welcome back, and I'm Stephanie Johnson for DoesGodReallyExist.com, and it's great to have you back. If you want to check out more information about my website, go to www.doesgodreallyexist.com.au for more free downloads. And so the title of this message today is called Inconvenience Me. And this is a message for Christians out there who may go to church, who may not, who may be burnt by the church, so to speak, may not, maybe believing in God and Christ, but not really living fully for Jesus and not really seeing the victory in their lives. Or those religious Christians who've been going to a church for a very long time each Sunday, maybe even attending a Bible study once a week, but really feel like they're just giving their dues to Jesus and not really allowing him full access to all areas of your life, keeping him in a box, ticking all the religious rules, but not really having a heart change. So that message is for you. And the title of the message is Inconvenience Me. What's that about? It's about, as a Christian, we have an inconvenient life. What do you mean, Stephanie? Well, Jesus had a very inconvenient life. So inconvenient that he died on the cross for his beliefs. And so we too have an inconvenient life. That is, when Jesus went about, he just didn't give a sermon on a Sunday and say, "I'll catch us later," and walked away and never saw him again the next Sunday. No. He had an inconvenient life for the people. He was amongst the people. And the people he had the most trouble with were the high and mighty, were the wealthy, were the rich, were the legalistic rule keepers, the religious of the day, the so-called religious elitist people, the Pharisees. And he hung around with prostitutes, lowlights, and fishermen, ragamuffins. He was around the people. He didn't just do a sermon and say, "I'll catch you later, see you next Sunday. I'm not interested in being inconvenienced for your suffering or your life." But he was. His whole ministry was inconvenience for the suffering of people, to bring righteousness here on earth. And so he went about healing people who may have been unwell mentally or physically, crippled, blind, people with disabilities, orphans, widows, raised people from the dead, heal people's sight, put back Peter's ear, raised a widow's son. He raised Lazarus from the dead. It was enormous what he did. He went about healing, doing good, and he did emotional healing, particularly, for women who were seen as scum, low life, particularly if they had a questionable past. He really did emotional healing and valued women and valued the low life that the religious didn't value. So he did enormous good. And it's said in the Bible that Jesus went about doing good. He related to people who were in need, who were suffering, who knew they were in need, who knew they were sinners, who knew they needed a saviour. Where the religious of the day are so religious they don't need a saviour because they're keeping all the rules. So why would they need a saviour? And so Jesus went about being inconvenienced, doing good, relating to the people on the ground. And then he went away and prayed and fasted to the Father and had quiet time. And this should be our example. We should be inconvenienced for the gospel's sake. He went around and said, sin no more, go, after he healed someone or rescued someone from being stoned to death. He didn't necessarily give them a long sermon about how to be converted, necessarily. So we need to be the hands and feet of Jesus. We need to share the gospel and go about doing good and sharing the gospel through love in action, not necessarily always words. He was concerned with people's conditions, their physical conditions, their basic needs such as food and water. He multiplied fishes and loaves. He was concerned about people's basic needs. And we too, if we call ourselves followers of Jesus, as Christians, we need to be inconvenienced in our daily life for at least 15 minutes each day, for no reward, for no gain for ourselves, to be inconvenienced for the gospel's sake, to go around doing good as our Father did Jesus. And we need to be inconvenienced and concerned about people's basic needs. So I encourage you today that each day that you live for Jesus, that you inconvenience yourself. You stop for someone in need. You talk to the homeless man under the bridge. You offer to pay for someone's grocery, pay for someone's petrol. You sit down and give someone time of day. Someone needs their grocery cart put back, or help them with their groceries, or help a little lady across the road, or someone's distressed in the street, that you sit down and acknowledge them and ask them, can I help you? The gospel is an inconvenient gospel. It's about inconveniencing ourselves, putting ourselves out for other people, for blessing other people, for bringing heaven on earth and being the hands and feet of Jesus. That's got to cost us something. With our time, with our money, our emotions. That's got to inconvenience us. Are you willing to be inconvenienced for the sake of the gospel? Are you willing to let Jesus be your example? He was inconvenienced. So why shouldn't you be inconvenienced in your daily life and let people into your life and shine into their life a glimpse of Jesus, hope in a hurting world? I'm Stephanie Johnson for doesgodreallyexist.com.au. Thank you and God bless.